Yeah, Ariel, we're back. Another Pints with Air. How are my levels? They
Been a
look
few
okay.
weeks.
Yeah, it has been a few weeks. We're busy. We're busy men. Got a,
Busy, yeah, very busy, very tired on a Friday afternoon, ready to get out of here sometimes. Anyway,
yeah. Well, we got lots of family activities and things going on, and school's out, summertime. I think a lot of our audio files are trying to get outside too.
yeah, 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 we definitely see that in the audio market. The summer slows down as people are outside, not inside, listening to stereos. And so
Yeah,
we always struggle with that a little bit, just as far as sales and marketing. But
that's understandable. It's beautiful. It's beautiful out there. Well, I thought this might be fun, kind of fun to talk about, but so Ariel's turned me on to a whole new way of kind of pouring my beer.
yes,
In the past, I was always trying to go with as delicate and as angled of a pour into my glasses as possible and try to avoid all this. But yeah, you had some really cool logic behind it. So maybe you can explain why maybe it's a
yeah,
good idea to do a hard pour.
yeah, hard part. Yeah, it's not my logic. I've seen a lot, but I've done a little bit of research on it, and yeah, so pour it hard. Let a lot of the foam, that carbonation release as you pour it, so that it doesn't do that in your stomach. Um, Particularly if you're going to be eating afterwards, I think that's that anything you're disturbing your stomach at all, adding anything to it.
Right.
That's not necessarily what we're doing here, but still, it's yeah, you want to release that now, where it's more comfortable for your stomach.
It's brilliant. It's one of those things I've just totally overlooked, but especially if you're going to have more than one bubbly drink,
Yeah.
might be a good thing to consider. So yeah, we do a I think for most brews now, I'm kind of doing this. I'm doing a hard pour and just kind of letting the head settle a
Yeah.
little bit. And
As long as you're not rushing to drink it 5 seconds after you pour it, then that might be an issue. But otherwise, yeah, pour it, let it settle,
I'm so
enjoy the
thirsty.
time. It's patience.
Brilliant. Overlooked beer hack this whole time.
Yeah, yeah. There are if you just search on YouTube, you can find it. Or if you have the time to find a link before we upload this, you can always do one of those. But anyway,
We could probably get like a gastroenterologist or something on here as a guest, maybe sometime and expand upon that.
mm,
Yeah, this is a welcome change. I feel like we've been drinking so much lighter beer this year that
on average, yes.
on average, yeah, that I had to go for a dark Obsidian Stout.
Deschutes.
Deschutes
Yeah,
from Bend, Oregon.
yeah. I went. This is probably 2010. Was there on the Deschutes Brewery property. Drank a lot of beer there, but it was for the cyclocross national championships in 2010 were held on part of the Deschutes property. And they had some nighttime parties there. We had an absolute blast there.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was a good time. It was cold. The race day was cold, cold, cold. Some people got frostbite, but it was a little bit of snow. And anyway, December in Bend is known for you're gonna get some cold weather.
Okay.
Anyway,
Well, we might do another Deschutes next week.
okay.
I've been so busy. I didn't get to button up and finish some things this week, but we might have a new partner announcement in Bend, Oregon
Mm,
for next week. So
awesome.
might have another Deschutes beer to follow up
Okay.
on that announcement.
Yeah. I know one of the popular ones is Mirror Pond. Um, that is a lighter one. Wonder if we did that earlier in the show. I don't know. I have to go look at my wall of bottles. Might have done Mirror Pond. I should double check before
That
you commit to something. Anyway,
that doesn't stand out for me. I don't remember hearing that one, but this is really good. I mean, it's dark.
yeah,
It's got some really dark kind of espresso chocolatey kind of flavoring to it, but it's like creamy almost. It's
Yeah. Yeah. It tastes sweet, kind of creamy on the front, but then there's a funny back of the mouth kind of bitter bite that actually kind of like almost kind of like a dark chocolate kind of bite to it, the back.
have you ever done an Irish car bomb?
I don't remember. I think I might have.
We should do that on the next show. Uh, Drop a little shooter of some cream liqueur and just go for it.
Okay.
Or maybe a new thing we can start doing when we end shows is like doing like a, do you remember the Man Show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we could do like a just a chug at the end and see if we can slam one.
Yeah. That doesn't sound very fun, but
Ah, it's because I'd win.
sure.
All right. Well, we are going to talk tech today. We've been systematic. We have 31 products that we have built in 31 years of being in business, and I've had a lot of fun doing some of those like classic product rundowns, and it's been helpful for me to catch up on a lot of things that predate my time with the company. But today we're on the C5xE CD player or universal player.
Universal player, universal audio player. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the final version, the C5xeMP. We did one upgrade for it, which was the MP. I think because of where, what I think it started life as the C5xe. We gave that denomination because of we had already kind of the X and the E upgrades, which we had done upgrades to prior products. It included that technology, and so we don't want to release that, and like we don't want to imply that it didn't have those technologies. So we started off with the C5xe, I believe was its original name.
And to summarize, that was like updates to the power supply.
Yeah, that was mostly power supply technology. Yeah. A lot of with more or less RF filtering was a big part of it. Yeah.
Like rectifier damping, was that part of that one? Or
well, yeah. There's some rectifier snubbers. There's some RF filtering across the actual IEC. There was some of those early products had ferrites, and so like X was part of that was taking out the ferrites, and that was adding our own almost patented air conditioner, non-ferrous, non-magnetic RF filtering. So C5 was it was our fourth disc player, and it was based on a Pioneer, so the DB45, which was a universal player for Pioneer that played notably SACD. That was one of the reasons that we picked it, because that was becoming a thing. Not that we were thrilled about DSD, but Charlie's pretty famously, mixed reviews about DSD, and thoughts on ranting about it's all of its drawbacks. DSD has its advantages, sounds good, but for very specific reasons that probably go back, and we could probably do a whole thing on that. I'm not sure if we ever talked about DSD alone, but maybe we could do an episode just on that maybe one day. Anyway, so the C5, this is a pretty interesting development story for this one. So I know like Charlie had been thinking about it for a while and had maybe started dabbling in schematics, and we had a DV45 and we had kind of taken apart and seen what it would take, but then we put it on the back burner. And then I don't remember what the impetus for it was, but I think this, I want to say it was for the Tokyo show in 2004.
Okay.
And so rather suddenly we decided, we want to have a product to debut or to show there, something new. I think Charlie was going, was actually traveling there, and we want to show something new. And so now the time frame was ludicrous. Um, because nearly from scratch. I think he had maybe started some of the schematics, kind of, sort of. But so basically from the gun, doing most of the schematics, doing most of the layouts, having boards made, stuffing the boards to a working prototype was barely over 2 weeks to getting on the plane to taking it to Tokyo and mostly working. It was I don't know how we did it. Um, so it was a very much tag team effort. We did not sleep very much. You know, because we'd already analyzed DB40, the DB45, and so we already kind of knew what it was going to take and what signals and where they were, where we had to tap in. So we already knew that, and so the schematics went pretty quickly. We probably more or less had to bust that out within like a day. So then the circuit board layout was there are a few because there was one main board and then a logic slash display board and then one little daughter board we had to it was a clock board that we had to add to the Pioneer decoding board. But so it was probably one of the sort of the first trying to remember. So anyway, so it was a very much a tag team effort as far as the circuit board where one of us would work on it for several hours, hit some kind of roadblock on how to handle something. We would pass it off. The other person would say, "Oh, I know how to get past that," and they would work on it for a few or several hours, and we just ping pong that back and forth and just hammered that and just hammered that board out. Particularly the audio board. I think the display board. I think I probably did most of that layout.
Wow.
And then we had the boards made probably locally, probably in Denver. We had the boards, probably like a 1 or 2 day turn. Had those made, got all the parts ordered, get all the parts stuffed. You got all the parts here. I would, um, um, I would hand stuff everything. Now there was the there was one big hang up. One mistake we made in the schematic to the circuit board layout is we used the wrong footprint for one part, which was the display driver for the VFD on the display board. And that
the vacuum fluorescent.
Yeah,
display.
the VFD, if I can fluorescent display. And so there was a special driver IC, which was and so in most of those players, and it's particularly that one, we would certainly early ones, we would actually remove that chip from the Pioneer player, discard the rest of the well, we would salvage the VFD, we would salvage that one driver chip, design our own board, put those two parts onto our own circuit board. Anyway, so we used the wrong footprint for that IC.
It's all coming out now.
Yeah, so it was like the wrong pitch and the wrong dimensions, and so we're trying to figure out how we didn't want that to be the one thing that held us up for getting this thing really somewhat working, and so we came up with a solution where we could get these little header modules on this little adapter board that had the correct footprint on, and we could kind of grind it down because it had to fit next, because it also had to clear the drive mechanism. And so we found this company that made this little adapter board. Except like one of the corners would have hit the thing. So we were able to like kind of figure out how to grind it down. But first we had to get them because like we figured this out on like a Saturday or a Sunday. And we needed it like yesterday.
That week, yeah.
So and so this was a very Charlie thing to do. And somehow, so we found this company that made these little boards, these little adapter boards, and they were in California. And he called them up on a Saturday, and they didn't have business hours on the weekend. But he just went for it, called them, and a guy answered the phone. And so he happened to be, he had been like, he had like driven in to get something or do something, and the phone rang, and he just happened to answer it. And being very Charlie was had this way of getting people to do things that weren't normal. He was good at manipulating people
in a good way.
Yes, yes, yeah. It was all. I mean, it was always for good,
Yeah.
more or less, at least the way we saw it. So Charlie had a way of talking people into doing things, and so one was, and so this like, so he's miraculously this guy answered the phone at this little company in some warehouse in California, and looking for this little. There was this little like PCB adapter kit, and so we just needed one of the things, but so there's this kit. So the guy, he was able to go find the kit in the warehouse. Um, um, he agreed to take Charlie's credit card number and then to take it over, and then to drive it over to a FedEx office because like there wasn't any shipments going out that day. It was the weekend. No one was there.
Sure.
And so he shipped it on Saturday, and we got it on Monday. Had to have Monday. I don't think they had a Sunday delivery at that time. And so yeah, so we got it Monday morning, got it to work. It was this very precarious assembly with these little plug-in like forces. It was just insane. But
it worked.
We got it together and it connected and it fucking worked. It was it was a miracle, absolute miracle. And then because I had to write FPGA code for that too, because we had the a lot of some of our digital filtering. Well, no, that what did well, so the MP upgrade added most of our digital filtering. The original incarnation of the C5 didn't have that yet, but had a lot of other housekeeping duties that the FPGA did. A lot of kind of IO stuff. Anyway, so some programming to do on that little thing. So virtually from start to finish, 2 weeks. Design it, build it, test it, get it like 95% working. So it actually operated, made sound. There were some bugs in that code somewhat, and but yeah, he was able to fly with it as his luggage to go to Tokyo. I think that was also the first product that we started using PRP resistors, which is a whole nother story there about the PRP resistors. So if you look at like quite a few of our current products, we still use, there's these red through-hole PRP quarter-watt resistors, pretty standard size. And so those, Charlie helped PRP with listening tests and designing and selecting what those became, probably 10, 12 years prior. And I think like we didn't even know that they had started making them or started selling them, and then we finally realized. And so so we actually get a little bit of special deal on those because we helped them develop those resistors, which Charlie did, I should say. I wasn't there at the time. So C5 was the first product that started using those special red PRP resistors. So that was fall of 2004. I think we turned around into production pretty quickly after that. And I was just looking at some of my files, and some of we turned around, revised the boards for production, and those are finalized, I think, in December. and I think we started shipping early 2005.
Yeah.
And to back up quite a bit, I mean, the whole concept of this was internally a bit controversial, just because this was a disc player that at least the way Charlie and I looked at it is, this was the product we wanted. This was not a product people were asking for, because it was a disc player, like a video disc player that had audio only output. We did have there was a we did provide a basic video output just for like the setup menu stuff, just if someone absolutely needed to, or there was some kind of service menu stuff that might be necessary to get into. But so this was, we wanted an audio element. We didn't want any of that video circuitry, any of that video sort of polluting the audio,
yeah, the integrity of the audio. Right.
So, even some of our salespeople at the time were not very keen on this product, just because it was this player that didn't have any video. But so, like, again, like I said, like, there's kind of a turning point for Ayre. This was another big turning point product for the company. It really made a big step for us, and also both in terms of market recognition and sales and a lot of things, but also in the way of how we kind of designed and kind of thought of products as far as what we wanted to bring out and develop. And so this one was, okay, well, we're going to put less emphasis on what people are yelling at us for and wanting, because oftentimes, this is one of the things Charlie says, is that is that like when distributors or dealers are saying, we want this product, we want this type of product, and that's usually based on what customers have been asking for,
purchasing or asking,
and that can be okay, but that's not necessarily forward looking.
Right.
That might not be what they want 6 months from now or 3 years from now. That might not be what I want. And so we said, okay, like what? So this was one where, okay, what, if I want, this thing, I want to take this home, I want this to be my product, what do I want it to do? And this was it. This was a universal disc spinner for 2-channel audio only, no video. And so we figured out ways to be able to navigate, navigate, the menus, because there are many, video-based discs that, that you had to potentially navigate some on-screen menus to maybe get to the audio you wanted.
Right.
So we figured out ways to kind of we did a lot of testing with various types of discs and see what the common thing was. I mean, so it wasn't necessarily perfect, but we figured out 99 point something % of how to handle those situations. And we, yeah, and it, I would say it was a fairly raging success. That was a hugely successful product. It was a huge step up for us, and was by itself was a big deal. And it also, I think when we talk about the next product, it was a huge factor in the development of our next product, which was a radically different product, but it had a huge influence, because it was as successful as it was. It gave us quite a bit of breathing room, which was a very different scenario for us, where we were almost always in a rush to get this next product out to boost sales and yada yada. This finally gave us breathing room as far as that capital to take our time with that next product and get it right, really work on it, spent a lot of time listening, really tweaking, really nailing it down. We weren't as rushed to get that next product out, which we'll talk about some of the time. But this was a hugely successful product for us. It was a big deal.
Well, this is the 13th product. So what is the next product, though?
That was the MXR.
All right. So coming soon. Product number 14.
Yeah, another landmark product. And I give some credit to that to the C5 because it allowed us a lot of success, and again, financially, to be able to have the luxury of time to kind of perfect the MXR as opposed to rushing it, as we're kind of prone to do many times.
Which makes sense. I don't know if you could really perfect on that design much more.
Yeah, I mean that is the wrong word, but
I no, I don't think it is. I mean, the more time that I spend around it, it is the right word. But yeah, staying on C5. So do you think it's so it's more, it sounds like it's more of a challenge to try to integrate video compatibility in the product overall than
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, when you're trying to add on video, you're talking about different clock rates and a completely different interface. And then, again, like then you have completely asynchronous noise source now. And so if you want to keep your audio pure, then you have to take measures to block that noise or filter that noise. As well as just just adding on a whole level of complexity of handling the video side of it. Power supplies, you name it, it's just kind of exponential. Most of our, like the D1 and even the DX5, both had video outputs. Now, the DX5 was a little bit different just because that was, further on in time where we really didn't need to provide analog video, and that was now the era of HDMI. And so we could, we could pretty much use the built-in HDMI outputs of that at that for that was that was the Oppo player. So it had really good built-in HDMI output. So we didn't have to deal with it the same way like we did in the D1 and the DX7, where we spent a lot of time, doing our own analog video, our own progressive digital video. But yeah, of course, it's way, way easier to not deal with the video.
right.
It was definitely a luxury.
Yeah. I love that we've been so committed to developing and building disc players throughout our history, though. To me, my personal philosophy is that's like my favorite digital medium. I mean, I feel like the less hands that the data has to exchange through, or the less software, essentially, the better.
Sure.
And I like the idea of having the raw data extracted from the hardware and sent right to the preamp, and you're done. There's no other conversion or handling of that data needed. So I love that we build disc players and that we support them, which so this player utilized Pioneer DV45A based drive mechanism, which is long discontinued by Pioneer at this point.
At this point, yeah, but they when we first started the project, we worked with Pioneer to try and make sure that they could assure us and that we could have some confidence that player would be available for some minimum amount of years so that we could explore this thing. And they did, and they ended up actually producing it for several years longer than that even. I think they tried to warn us once that they were going to discontinue it, but then they ended up not. So I think we actually discontinued the C5 before we actually had to, because I think they told us they were going to discontinue it. So I think we discontinued C5, but then they ended up making it for a few more years.
Huh.
But then even after they discontinued selling that player, for several more years, they did continue to provide service parts. And so we were able to get drive lasers and various parts. But that doesn't last forever either. And so we can no longer get those.
Yeah, well, it doesn't necessarily mean it's on like a skull and crossbones list per se. I mean, there's still ability to service them if people send us a donor Pioneer DV45A.
Yeah, there are still, if you Brews eBay or other used sites, you can find still working DV45As. And yeah, it's yeah, and that's pretty much what we need, because the most common issue is that the laser, one of the lasers wears out, and so it has multiple lasers in that system, and so it might stop reading DVDs, or it might stop reading CDs reliably. And sometimes there's certain things we can do as far as cleaning, and there's adjustment we can do to maybe um, um, help it read better. But otherwise, if it's completely dead, yeah, we have to salvage a working laser from a working DV45A.
Y-
Yeah,
Yeah, which the customer can provide and send to us, or
yeah.
if they would rather trust our judgment. I mean, it's not uh unseen for us to go through the effort to try to get those ourselves and test them and go through the motion. But
Yeah, we generally don't do that. Yeah, we pretty much cut that off, and we haven't done it in quite a while. So yeah, we definitely prefer not to do that. There's quite a bit
prefer
of
not to.
risk.
Right. We prefer not to, but we're observant to case by case scenarios. But the fact that we're willing to jump through some hoops to keep those disc players in service, I think, is rather commendable. Given the position a lot of other companies will take, because they make
Yep.
new things that they want to sell you.
Yes.
But going to Munich, I'm really kind of holding this in mind now, like being so close to Germany and being such a car nerd, and thinking about like Porsches and people that collect cars and want to maintain them and keep them in good working order over the years. Like I look a lot at a lot of this gear now in a very similar fashion, almost like if you drove your old collector's Porsche up to the dealership and they're like, "Oh, sorry, that's too old.
Right.
We don't service those anymore. Buy a new one."
Yeah.
It's like that's a very common attitude these days. But in the 2 years that I've been here now, I've come to find that like all of our products do a really good job of kind of keeping this unique character from one another, and it doesn't, to me, it doesn't seem like one product supersedes the previous one so much that it's like bad or irrelevant. It's like they all have kind of a unique character to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're all have such a high starting point. Even early products like even they're haven't evolved the same. As far as our circuit kind of evolution, they're kind of precursors to that, but still, um, the care that we took in part selection, and even, again, the basic balance, zero feedback for circuitry is still there. And so even early products had such a high level of a starting point as far as sound quality. Yeah, uh, yeah, you're not losing much going from one of our newer products to one of our older products.
Yeah, the quality is there. It's just it's a different experience.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, so C5, fourth disc player in the lineup, no video, focused on audio and multi-format. I mean, that's a cool product. I mean, still, I think even relevant in today's market.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
safe to say there might still be demand for a universal disc player at some point.
Would love to. Yeah. Would love to have a current one. There are quite a few obstacles to making one right now.
It's true.
Having a really good donor is the first one.
Yeah, yeah, and the the uncertainty of how long those donor parts are going to be available is.
Yeah. Donor parts, service. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot.
Well, I do like the idea of building products that we want, and
Yeah.
I think that there's some pretty cool, unique products that are being talked about that we want. Maybe not. I'm still trying to get Ariel on board, but I think there's some products that the Royal we want to build that might be looking forward a little bit, and and back at the same time. But I have to shut up. I've already had a beer before this episode, so I might divulge too much
Right.
information before we're ready. But yeah, that sounds really cool though. I love hearing kind of how Charlie just was able to kind of conceptualize and with the two of you guys working together, like make this stuff happen so quickly and efficiently. And even today, just working alone with you, watching you do software, firmware, hardware, everything, I can see how like all these crazy stories that we're talking about with product development over the years have gotten you to where you are. So,
Yeah. Where I am, how jaded and burnt out I am. Yeah. 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 Aged, a lot of gray, white. Yeah.
a lot of gray.
It was, yeah. I lived, yeah, many years within a short span in some of those early years. Yeah.
I think a lot of people in this industry do though.
Yeah.
It's this is an industry
Mhm.
of love and passion, and you end up putting a lot of yourself into those kind of industries.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes. There is plenty of literal blood, sweat, and tears and
mhm.
in various chassis around the world right now. Oh my promise.
Some AB DNA
Yeah,
out there.
it's out there, widespread.
It's for fun. Any other challenges or fun stories that you can think of from bringing this thing to market? I mean, feel like you've covered a lot of it.
Boy, yeah, it's. I mean, that's the highest that I remember. It was just that 2 week whirlwind, and then and which got us to, like I said, like more than 90% of the way there. And so to go from there to production was fairly simple.
Yeah.
And it was pretty quick from then on. Just a quick spin, into production we went. So
I do got to give some props to Pioneer and just the limited time that I've been here. It seems like the C5 is one of the least, as far as like a disc player is concerned, it's like the least worked on unit that I've seen come in the building at least.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I haven't really thought about that, but it's very true. We don't get a lot of them back. They're pretty darn reliable. Even the mechanisms. And we sold, like I said, we sold a lot of them.
Mhm.
We went. I mean, it was, um, you know, yeah, it was really successful. We went through a lot of them. And yeah, and we don't. They're not frequently back here.
No, but we still do the MP upgrade and we still
Yep.
service them and all that. So if you're shopping used or you have one and you want it checked up or anything of that sort, it's on the menu. So give us a call. But that sounds really cool. Yeah, I could tell you were excited to talk about this one when we
Yeah,
landed on it.
yeah. I thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, all those stories came back quickly. Because I remember yeah, it was a very, very unique development cycle. It was not normal, not quite.
Well, I've been really excited to kind of keep chugging away through the lineup because we're starting to get into an era of product that kind of still manufacture and
Getting there, yeah,
yeah, we're still refining and
yeah.
updating and stuff, but yeah, we're getting into more of a modern kind of catalog that I've gotten a little bit more connected with and so I feel like I'm getting well caught up on air history here.
Yeah. 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 So like I said, yeah. Yeah. So this was the 13th product that would do is discontinued. But yeah, so number 14, the MXR, obviously we still manufacture in its current version. And so I haven't looked back. As I think 1 through 13, I don't think we make any of those anymore. But so number 14, we still do. So yeah,
Right.
we're just on that cusp now.
I can't wait for that episode. That there's like so much to unwrap with that product. Like there's just a lot to talk about and so
Yeah.
much that I feel goes like underappreciated by people that I cannot wait to talk about like all these really cool little points that people just like maybe almost forget about how exceptionally unique it is to that product. So there's just so much to talk about. So I'm glad we did this one, and I'm glad we're getting into the modern era.
Indeed.
Well, thank you, Ariel, for sharing some knowledge
Indeed.
with me.
It's fun.
Cheers. Hope you guys all had a great time, guys and gals. Thanks for hanging out with us. Do the like, do the subscribe, and all that. We're very close to our 1,000 subscribers, which I think is a good thing for us. So help us
Yeah,
out. Help
can't be
us out.
bad.
Yeah, it can't be bad. Help us out. Get to 1,000. Tell your friends. Watch Pints with Air. And yeah, looking forward to that MXR episode coming up real soon. Well, have a good night.
Cheers.